And also to see so many new faces here tonight. Can I ask you, raise your hands if you are a new or relatively new member of the SNP. How fantastic. You are all very, very, very welcome in the SNP. We are in the SNP a family, and we're delighted that all of you have chosen to be part of it. Now, I'm thrilled to be here tonight supporting my good friend Chris Stephen. I am very proud of each and every one of the 59 men and women who are fighting Westminster seats for the SNP, the length and breadth of Scotland. And we have indeed two of the best here tonight in Ailey and indeed in Chris. But there are a few things I have to say, a few things that would give me personally more pleasure than seeing Chris elected in the early hours of the 8th of May to serve as the member of I appreciate that it's not really paying Chris too much of a compliment to say that he'd be better than the incumbent for this constituency. Let me just, put it this way. Chris, you'd be 100 million times better. Mr. Davidson said something, I was going to say he said something stupid, but he said so many things stupid. One of the many stupid things that Ian Davidson said during the referendum, you might remember this, is that after the referendum the only thing left for the No campaign to do would be to bayonet the wounded. I hope that runs through his head in the early hours of the 8th of May as the returning officer is declaring Chris Stevens. But seriously, it would give me such enormous pleasure to see Chris elected. I've known Chris now for probably more years than either of us care to remember. I mean, clearly he's a good bit older than me. But nevertheless, we've known each other for quite some time. And Chris, I have to say, is one of this life's genuinely good guys. There's no doubt about it. He's somebody I've worked with as a colleague, but much, much more importantly than that, Chris is somebody that I'm very proud to call one of my good friends. He is somebody who is principled. He's hard-working, he cares, he knows what he believes in, and he's prepared to stand up and fight for what he believes in. And that is actually quite a rare combination of attributes. So he is one of life's good guys, and we need many more good guys and good girls in the House of Commons to shake up Westminster. Yeah. With a very simple message, and that message is that we have in the SNP campaign real momentum. We are within touching distance of winning the first Westminster election in our history. That is the prize that lies ahead of us. How do I know that we are doing so well right now? Is it the feedback on the doorsteps? Well, the feedback on the doorsteps is pretty good, I have to tell you, although it could be better. I was out campaigning in my own constituency, neighbouring constituency to here this afternoon, knocking some doors in Tory Glen, and me and my campaign team this afternoon managed to talk to around about 100 people. And I'm afraid I have to tell you tonight that only 72 of them were intended to vote. Work to be done. So yeah, the feedback on the doorsteps is great, but it's not really that tells me that we are on the verge of winning this election. So is it the opinion polls? Well, yep, the opinion polls are fantastic as well. We saw the latest poll last night where I'll be honest with you, When I was waiting for that poll to drop onto Twitter last night, I was probably deep down inside expecting we might see a wee bit of the narrowing of the gap, because I suppose common sense tells you at some point in this campaign we will see a narrowing of the gap between ourselves and Labour, but no, we didn't. We saw a widening of the gap, the SNP hitting 49% in a poll. Very good, although we should take nothing for granted. But it's not even the good polls that convince me right now that the SNP is on the verge of winning this election. What convinces me, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the SNP is winning this election is the fact that in the last few days we've had the same fears and smears that Labour threw at us. It was the smear campaign, the grotesque sight of the Labour Party jumping on a story in the Tory supporting Daily Telegraph. And yes, I was given the title of the most dangerous woman. That is far and away the nicest thing the Daily Mail has ever said. And believe me, that front page is going to take pride of place in my wall somewhere. So last weekend it was the smear campaign. And in the last couple of days, we've had the revival of the Project Fear campaign. Anybody watching their televisions tonight will have seen Project Fear revived. They'll have heard Labour and the Tories and the Liberals singing the same song they sang throughout the referendum: Scotland is too poor and Scotland is too wee. Well, you know what? It ain't going to work this time round. Scotland has seen through Project Fear, and Scotland has certainly seen through the Labour Party. Hamza's absolutely right. It will take a long, long, long time for people in Scotland to forget or forgive those images of Labour politicians arm in arm with Tories campaigning to hold Scotland back. So the fears and the smears are not going to work. But as they rain down on us over these next 4 weeks, as, believe you me, they will, that's all we will get each and every day from now until May the 7th. What we are going to do in response to those fears and smears is continue to fight the upbeat, positive, visionary campaign, full of belief in this country, full of belief in the people of this country, and that is what is going to win on these. This election is the best opportunity we have ever had to shake up that out-of-touch Westminster system once and for all. The best opportunity we have ever had as a country to make Scotland's voice heard, to make sure we send to Westminster MPs that do not go there to settle down and become part of the establishment, but MPs who go there to stand up to the establishment and fight Scotland forever. Had to send a big team of SNP MPs down there to work with others, other progressive voices and forces to get real change. Change that Scotland needs, but you know what? Change that many ordinary folk across the rest of the UK need just as much as we do. We'll work with others, we'll work with our friends in Plaid Cymru, we'll work with the Greens, we'll work with progressives in the Labour Party if we can find them as well. We will never, ever, ever put the Tories into power. You can rest assured of that. But nor will we stand back and watch a Labour government implement Tory policies either. SNP MPs will be there to make sure that we get the change Scotland needs. And what is that change? We need, as Ailey said, this country needs a real alternative to austerity. You know, just a few weeks ago, and Ailey can testify to this better than I can because she was there watching it. Labour trooped through the lobbies of the House of Commons to vote for £30 billion of additional cuts over the next couple of years, and they trooped through those lobbies side by side with the Tories. Well, we put forward a different approach. We don't want, because this country doesn't need and cannot afford more spending cuts, we want investment. Investment in our economy, in our public services, and investment in lifting people, in particular children, out of poverty. That's what we stand for. We have, as a country, £100 billion to spend over the next 30 years or so, then we will be saying loudly and clearly at the tops of our voices that that money should be spent giving our children the best start in life and a better future. It should not, it must not, it will not be spent on weapons of mass destruction. SNP MPs demanding that the vow that was made to the people of Scotland before the referendum is delivered and delivered in full. You know, it's ironic, isn't it, to hear what Labour are coming out with just now, as well as being claptrap scaremongering. You know, there's a real irony at the heart of it. There's scaremongering over the impact of Devo-Matt full fiscal autonomy on the one hand, but on the other hand saying they'll block it from happening altogether. Labour don't want to give Scotland any more powers. It was Labour and the Smith Commission that stood in the way of devolving the minimum wage and power to lift people out of poverty. We need SNP MPs down there to make sure Scotland does get the power we need to get our economy growing and to tackle poverty once and for all, and we will not let Labour be barriers in the way of Scotland's progress anymore. Causes that we seek to send MPs to Westminster to fight for, to stand up for, and to progress on behalf of the people of this country. And as I said earlier on, victory in this election is within our grasp. Believe me when I say that. It really, really is. But it will not fall into our lap. We know, those of us who've been in the SNP now for many years. I joined the SNP when I was 16 years old. I don't know where the 5 years since then has gone, passed in a flash. But those of us who've been in the SNP for many years now, we know from experience that we don't win elections because opinion polls tell us we're doing well. We only win elections if we get out there and work our butts off to persuade people to vote for us, and that's what we need to do over these next 4 weeks. So I'm going to end with an unashamed plea to each and every one of you on behalf of this fantastic guy here tonight. It's great that you're all here tonight supporting Chris, but he doesn't just need your support tonight. He needs your support every single day between now and May the 7th. So whatever it is you can do to help Chris get elected, please, please do it. Whether it's knocking doors or putting out leaflets or donating some cash or stuffing envelopes, whatever your contribution, it will matter and it will count and it will help. So get out there and give it your all, because if each and every one of us, all 105,000 of us and rising, if each and every one of us gets out there and works like we have never worked before, then Chris will be going to join Ailey in the House of Commons. We will be sending a big team with them to make this country's voice heard and to make clear to Labour that they cannot and will not be allowed to take Scotland for granted for a single day longer. That's the prize we've got to win.